YouTube camper fans. It's your favorite Penguin Bob here, and I've got some news I want to talk about that I don't think a lot of people are talking about or even knowing. I think this is slipping in under the radar. I've spent several years working in IT, and I've seen this type of proposal about the internet happen more than once. A thing called like net neutrality or net equality or internet, for lack of a better word, internet policing, what it really is. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, let's get into it. This is an article I found on afa.net. I'll put a link to this article down in the description of the video so you can check it out for yourself if you really want to. But this is kind of scary. Last Friday, November 10th, this article came out. This is happening probably by the time you watch this video today on November 15th, 2023. They're voting on this. Let's read what's going on here. The Biden administration has asked the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, to take complete control of the way the internet service providers do business in America. This should concern us. Really should. Currently governed by the private sector, the FCC would take control and establish rules and regulations to strangle the free market by deep government policies and regulations. That's fancy speak for the government will all of a sudden take over what's normally been governed by the private sector, like all these ISPs and things like that, like Comcast and Spectrum and so forth, and AT&T. Then all of a sudden would have to answer to the government about things, the FCC more precisely. This would include dictating broadband prices to consumers, that's us, tower and satellite locations, and expansion of services by your local internet provider. It would tightly regulate providers to the point that they would basically become an extension of the government itself. Next week, on November 15th, that's today, the 5 FCC commissioners will vote to put President Biden's plan into place. Now, this is not the first time that a bill or something like this or a plan has come before the FCC about net neutrality and trying to control the internet and police it. This is just the latest thing. Now, I don't know. I'm not really into politics. I'm more into the tech side of things, what this means. It means tighter control. You ever heard the term Big Brother's watching you? Well, in this case, they really would be. I used to work for a CLEC or an ISP. I did some contract work for them and so forth. And I know part of the things that they had to do was they had to keep logs for up to 3 years. Back then, this is maybe like 15 years ago, I had to keep logs up to 3 years of all internet traffic going through their ISP, or the law enforcement needed to come in and take a look at something to track down someone that maybe was being malicious, or like they had to give them the access to this stuff. Not for everyday users, but for more things like that. Continuing on with this article. So this kind of concerns me, what's going on here. And I don't know if this is going to go through, but this is happening today. And it's kind of gone under the radar and nobody's really even noticed it. Policy is so bad that one FCC commissioner is speaking out publicly against it. Commissioner Brendan Carr is calling the Biden administration's digital equity plan for all internet services and infrastructure an unlawful power grab. You can read Commissioner Carr's warning here. There's a little link in that article for it. So in particular, Carr says for the first time ever, these rules would give the federal government a roving mandate to micromanage nearly every aspect of how the internet functions, even things like YouTube, what you're watching right now. From how internet service providers allocate capital, where they actually physically build their locations, to the types of services that consumers can purchase from them. From the profits that the ISPs can realize and how they market and advertise those services to discount and promotions that consumers can receive. Whoa, really taking control. The text of Biden's order expressively provides that the FCC would be empowered for the first time to regulate the following for every ISP. And this is actually coming from a tech standpoint. This is a monumental task. This would be a lot of ISPs would have to do a lot of overhaul to their network infrastructure and the way they do things and their server farms and controlling the flow of data. I could just see this being very costly, and I doubt that the federal government would even step in and help pay for that. They just got to make it happen. Here's what some of the things that they would be doing from a tech standpoint as well from a policing standpoint of this plan. A network infrastructure deployment, network reliability, network upgrades, network maintenance, consumer premises equipment and installation. In other words, the FCC would have direct say in what can and can't be upgraded and where it can and the maintenance involved. Speeds, capacities, latency, data caps, throttling, pricing, promotional rates, imposition of late fees, opportunity for equipment rental, installation time. Contract renewal terms. Let me go back to installation times. I don't know you, but I've been the type to where I've had to wait on like Comcast to show up at my house, and they give you like a range. They'll be there between like noon and 7 p.m. And you have to sit around and kind of wait around for them to show up. Imagine the federal government being involved in that, and just multiply that times 10. That's how long it'd probably slow things down. Anyway, contract renewal terms, service termination terms, and use of customer credit and account history. Mandatory arbitration clauses, pricing, deposits, discounts, customer service. Oh, man. See, that right there would be crazy right there, because I used to also work for Apple. Apple is huge on providing the highest quality of customer service to their customers, which I applaud, which is really great. But I can see right now that this would just throw that out the window. What's that going to do to the businesses like Apple, Comcast, and all of them that provide customer service, but all of a sudden they have to do it as a different way because it's being regulated now? I don't know. And language options, credit checks, marketing, it affects every last bit of this. This is, in my opinion, scary. A successful Biden administration takeover of the internet will result in poorer service, higher prices, and less privacy for every citizen in the country. And I 100% believe that. I'm talking to this as from a technological standpoint. If already the process of getting something resolved for your internet service or prices or privacy and security are involved, and you had to add an additional government oversight into all that, it's just going to slow everything down and make things even worse than what they currently are right now, let alone the privacy issue. Either way, I just felt like this was important to bring this up. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, and I kind of feel like it's gone under the radar a little bit. And that it makes the things just a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit scary. I don't know if it's going to pass or not. Like I said, this is about the 6th or 7th time I've seen this working in IT, that the government or the FCC has tried to step in and do things like this. And at least from the private sector in the IT world, it's a hard road to battle up for the FCC to do this. I'm just hoping that once again this thing gets voted down. That's my thoughts on it. So there you have it, campers. That's all the deets we got on Biden's plan to basically police the internet. What he calls digital equity is really just a fancy term for net neutrality or internet policing. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this, so please feel free to leave a comment down there below. And if you really like this video, it really helps me with the algorithm if you go give it a like. And if you haven't already, subscribed, and maybe even hit the notification bell, and you know when I'm actually going to go live or when the next video comes out. Either way, this is your crazy little techie penguin named Bob here, and I'm out the window because it's been replaced by a 386 processor with no graphics card, and the power supply's on its last legs. Later, peeps!